the Falcon 9 rocket. Stage 2 filled with the RP-1 kerosene. At the T-minus 6 minute mark, we should hear a call out that the stage 1 RP load is complete. They're just topping that off. Liquid oxygen on both the first and second stages come next.
RP-1 load complete.
And there's that confirmation. We're counting down to T-minus 5 minutes at this point. At T-minus 5, the Dragon is configured for terminal count. And at terminal count, Dragon is switched to internal power, right now receiving power from umbilical lines from the ground. Also at just under 5 minutes, we'll be waiting for strong back retract. The arm that's currently propping the Falcon 9 and Dragon up, we'll see the clamp arm start to open, and the strong back itself will tilt about 2 degrees off from where it is now at a 90-degree position. Just a little off, and then it'll get out of the way completely upon liftoff. Then, of course, comes the, after the strong back retracts, comes the completion of liquid oxygen loading on both the first and second stage. For now, T-minus 5 minutes, 15 seconds. We're going to stand by for that call of configuring for terminal count. Crew 6 in their seated positions and ready for launch.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count. Tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
All right, and we heard both of those calls. Dragon onboard computers are going to take control of the vehicle. We should be seeing the clamp arm at the very top of the second stage, right underneath where you see the unpressurized trunk of Dragon, which is indicated by the half black and half white indicators, the black being the solar panels that provide power to the Dragon on its transit to the International Space Station. Now that confirmation of strong back retract, we should be able to visually see that strong back.
The strong back will retract about 2 degrees away from the vehicle. Then at liftoff, the strong back will actually go back to 45 degrees. That strong back is part of the transporter erector, which provides the liquids and gases and electrical connections to the vehicle. As Gary pointed out, those clamp arms opened up underneath the trunk, just above the first stage. And you can see that action happening now as that initial retraction just a couple degrees away from the vehicle. At this point in time, fueling remains underway, propellant load remains underway. All fuels are loaded. That RP-1 liquid oxygen load
Stage 1, lock flow complete.
There, we just heard that call out that is all done. Second stage LOX load still underway. That will wrap up at about T-minus 2 minutes. Now that that first stage liquid oxygen load is complete, we'll see some more of that white gaseous cloud forming around the vehicle due to those lines being
Dragon
closed
is
off.
in terminal count and on internal power.
All right, good call out there indicating that Dragon is running on its own power. We are in the terminal count now at T-minus 2 minutes and 29 seconds. The crew remains comfortable there on the right-hand side of your screen. About 15 seconds remaining in stage 2 LOX load.
Stage 2, lock flow complete.
Dragon
is in auto idle.
You heard those calls. The Falcon 9 fully fueled with RP-1 rocket fuel as well as the liquid oxygen. That call of Dragon is an auto idle. There's going to be a series of
Gas close
calls
started. Expect rising.
as the gas close out, purging the lines of the fuel that has supplied the Falcon 9 with RP1 and liquid oxygen. We'll also wait for a call of the arming of the flight termination system. The Dragon flight computers are configured for launch. Flight termination system will allow Falcon 9 to talk to Dragon on the ride uphill. Terminate the flight, issuing an abort.
Startup. Dragon is in countdown.
T-minus 1 minute and counting. Dragon is in countdown. Everything's looking good for launch.
Dragon, SpaceX, go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, copy. Go for launch.
T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 30 seconds and counting. All teams pulled go.
$15 seconds.
Ready for an on-time launch for the instantaneous
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engines full power and liftoff of Crew 6. Go Dragon, go Falcon.
Now launching on Endeavour's first flight to the International Space Station. Vehicle pitching downrange, 1.7 million pounds of thrust provided by the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Hearing good calls, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
We're now at T plus 34 seconds into the 6th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Power and telemetry nominal.
Stage 1 throttle down.
So there we heard the call out indicating that the first stage engines will begin to throttle down in preparation for max Q, which is the moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure that the vehicle will experience during flight.
Vehicle is supersonic.
That call out there indicating the vehicle's traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Max Q.
Stage 1 throttle up.
All right, now that we're past max Q,
1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That 1 Bravo indicator are different abort modes that are called that allow the ground teams and the crew to track about the position of the Falcon 9 and the Dragon as they make their way up the eastern seaboard. In the event of an abort, these different abort modes would indicate about the position where Dragon would land,
started.
as well as indicate what series of maneuvers Dragon would indicate. But so far, we're hearing good calls on the performance of the Falcon 9 on its ride uphill. 1 minute, 53 seconds into flight.
we're about 30 seconds away from main engine cutoff, which will be followed quickly by stage separation and second engine start, which is the ignition of that MVAC engine on the second stage. Now about 10 seconds away from main engine cutoff.
Two Alpha.
Copy, 2
Stage
Alpha.
separation confirmed.
There you can see on your screen confirmation of stage separation as well as ignition of that second stage engine. Second stage is now carrying the Crew 6 astronauts to orbit. Beautiful view there on the left-hand side of your screen coming from the first stage, which, as you can see, is still gaining in altitude. It has not yet reached its apogee. A beautiful view of the Florida Space Coast there in the background.
Meanwhile, we're tracking good performance on that MVAC engine. On the screen to your right, we'll be hearing periodic performance calls about once every minute of the status of the trajectory of the second stage and the Crew 6 astronauts that are inside Crew Dragon Endeavour. We'll also be hearing call-outs,
Bermuda.
just like you heard just there, as we pass over the various ground stations along the ascent track.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
There's that performance call-out.
Dragon acknowledges nominal trajectory.
As for the first stage there on the left-hand side of your screen, that first stage still gaining in altitude, although that gain is slowing down. It will be making its way back down to Earth, landing, attempting a landing on our drone ship. Just read the instructions, which is located off the Florida coast by a couple hundred miles.
The MVAC engine on stage 2 burns for 6 minutes after second stage ignition. We'll continue to see this engine burn until about 8.5 minutes into today's flight.
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
SpaceX Dragon nominal trajectory.
Again, these performance calls happen once a minute. Flight teams continuing to track the Falcon 9 and its ascent. Everything's looking good so far. You'll also continue to hear those check-ins of the ground stations as we pass them.
At this point in time, we're roughly 2 minutes away from the next major event, which will be the entry burn for the first stage. We will relight 3 engines, 3 M1D engines on that first stage to help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere.
We're approaching 200 kilometers in altitude. It's about 124 miles. Meanwhile, velocity,
Dragon, SpaceX, nominal trajectory.
good trajectory calls, about to pass 12,000 kilometers per hour.
SpaceX Dragon acknowledges nominal trajectory.
It's about 7,500 miles per hour.
Everything looking nominal for both first and second stages. Now coming up to T plus 6.5 minutes into flight.
Mostly what we're hearing now are the performance calls in the second stage. In about a minute is when we'll see a series of events in rapid succession. It's been a pretty good pace since second stage ignition. About less than a minute from now, we'll start to see
Dragon,
more action
SpaceX,
on the first stage.
Nominal trajectory.
SpaceX Dragon nominal trajectory.
As Gary mentioned, those callouts occurring about once every minute. Now we're about 20 seconds away from the first stage entry burn. That burn will last about 30 seconds and help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there you can see
Stage 2, FTS has safed.
on your screen that first stage entry burn has begun. That booster sees high drag, which actually scrubs roughly 70% of the velocity by the time that the landing burn begins. So about another 10 seconds of this entry burn. Again, 3 engines relit, the center and 2
Stage 1
radial
entry burn
engines.
shutdown.
And conclusion of that entry burn.
Meanwhile, good performance on the second stage. Since second stage ignition, we've been in a 2 alpha abort mode. The next abort modes will happen in rapid succession to Bravo, to Charlie, Delta,
Terminal
and Echo,
guidance.
each indicating different series of maneuvers in the event of an abort scenario, but as you've been hearing through the periodic checks, we're seeing good trajectory, good performance on the Dragon and Falcon 9. SECO, second stage engine cutoff, would be coming at 8 minutes 48 seconds. We're coming up on that event.
SpaceX Dragon, Shannon.
Shannon,
Copy, Shannon.
now off the coast of Shannon, Ireland. Standing by for SECO.
MVAC shutdown.
Stage 1 landing burn.
And there we heard the call out indicating that landing burn.
Dragon, SpaceX. We have a nominal orbit insertion.
Great news there for
SpaceX Dragon copies nominal orbital insertion.
great
Launch
news
escape system disarmed.
for Dragon Endeavour.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
Attempting to land on our drone ship. Just read the instructions.
Stage 1 landing is expected signal.
And there you can see on your screen, and also indicated by the cheers behind
Acquisition
me,
signal, Finland.
successful landing of this booster. Its first trip to space, and therefore its first landing.
An eruption of applause here at SpaceX Mission Control. And of course, after second stage engine cutoff, you heard that call that the crew is in orbit. They're now in a coast phase, where the second stage remains idle for about 3 minutes before Dragon separates from the second stage. Meanwhile, you can see that first stage in the legs right on target. We're now getting views from the second stage. You can see this is one of the cameras that's pointing up into the trunk of Dragon. Of course, we're continuing to get views of the expansion nozzle at the end of the MVAC engine. The crew is in orbit. Falcon 9 has almost done its job. It completed its job with propelling the astronauts through the 6 minutes of the second stage, and of course, the more than 2.5 minutes of the first stage. Continuing in this coast period. We're heading to about the 12-minute mark after launch. So we're approaching 11 minutes right now. But it's great to see the crew in orbit. Of course, we are waiting for that separation. You can see this view right here of the MVAC engine. The second stage really in just an idle position, really just coasting, not many commands being issued from the Falcon 9. But of course, at the very end, we'll actually issue the command for separating the Dragon from the Falcon 9. You may see a series of burns. The Draco engines on the service section of the Draco will fire and increase separation distance from the second stage.
Once again, live view there from the second stage looking up into the trunk, which of course is the unpressurized section that goes along with the Dragon capsule to the International Space Station. That's where we are able to store basically cargo that is able to be exposed to the vacuum of space. So a great view there looking up into the trunk. That will be hopefully the first views that we get of that separation event, which we're expecting here any second. There you can see on your screen confirmation.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Of that separation confirmed. Dragon Endeavour is now floating free in space.
That's right, the Falcon
Dragon,
9.
CE here. Welcome to orbit. Congratulations. Your flight is exactly 4 years after the flight of the Demo 1 mission. Like Andre said, all the best things take 2 tries. Happy that we could get you off tonight. If you enjoyed your ride, please don't forget to give us 5 stars. Over to LD for some words.
Also, a friendly reminder to put your sushi orders in for CRS 27. Have a safe ride to the space station, and we look forward to seeing you when you get home. Thank you for flying SpaceX.
Expected loss of signal, Bermuda.
And SpaceX Dragon copies all. That was fantastic. Thank you.
The Crew 6 astronauts, of course, having a strong bond.
SpaceX Dragon, we'd like to really, for the great ride to orbit today. It was greatly appreciated. May have taken 2 rides, but 2 times, but it was worth the trip. And I guess I'll pass it over to Woody for some words.
Yeah, SpaceX Dragon, just want to say as a rookie flyer, that was one heck of a ride. Thank you. I would say put it